screen, we have this series of images that we used for Photo Safari right there, that GDT project. So I had all a bunch of images right in there thrown into this folder in there, and some of them are low res, some of them are high res, like this one is beautiful. This is the same photo, by the way, just colorized. So great images from Pexels, Pixabay, and whatnot. They're high res, they're fairly large files, but they are in RGB, and I'm using a bunch of RGB photos into my InDesign documents that are supposed to be print-based, so they should all be in CMYK. So what I did is I grabbed the folder, I grabbed the images, and I put them into a folder called Final Images. And you can do that, you don't have to. You can also package one of the files, but because and then do that with the packaged images. But because I have images from, I'm using different images on different projects, so I'm not sure which ones are used and which ones aren't. So I just kind of like quickly grabbed all of them, the ones that I think I have that I'm using everywhere throughout the whole project here. So I'm using all of those images. I made a copy of them and I put them in there. So the idea is you open an image in Photoshop. So let's open one up, shall we? Let's open one up. This one, for example. Yeah, this one is not that great. So let's pull this one, and you can see in the tab it says RGB right there. So to create, to batch images all together, you need to create an action. So right now my image is in RGB. It's at 72 dpi right here. You can see in the bottom left of your image right here. So what I do is I want to create a new action. So I want to go. I open my action panel right here. It's under Windows, stay right here. Windows right there, actions. And there's already a bunch of default actions right there, preset for you. But there's no conversion to CMYK, so I'm just going to make my own. So what you do is you create a new one right there. You have the little control buttons at the bottom down here. I'm going to create my own one right there, and I'm going to go CMYK, and I'm going to call it 300 dpi as well. So it's going to be, I'm converting the images to CMYK, and then also changing the resolution to 300 dpi. I'm going to set to default action, sure. Function key none, I don't need to. You can, but you don't have to. And I'm going to go record. So at this point, you can see the little buttons down at the bottom. I have a little red button right there. It's recording. This is to stop the recording. So first thing first is gonna go under image mode. I'm gonna switch it to CMYK. And then right there, as you can see, in my action panel right there, under my CMYK 300 dpi, it says convert mode, and you can see it right there to CMYK color mode. And then I'm gonna go into image size right there, and you can see I have my resampling linked, right? So if I change my resolution, it'll change my physical size of my my image, but it's not going to change the actual resolution. The number of pixels are going to be the same. So I'm going to go 300 pixels, and it's still a 13 by 10 inches image. So it's really high res. It's really nice. And I'm just going to go OK. And again, that saved it right here. And I'm going to go, well, in this case, it's a JPEG. I just want to save it. So I hit save. Make sure it's a 12 or maximum quality, save, and then close. Again, every step I take, it records. So once I'm done, I've done all my steps right there in my action panel, I can stop the recording. And now I have an action ready to rock and roll. So all I have to do now is I can go under, I'm trying to automate right there, File, Automate, and go Batch. I find my folder. Right, so I play this from the default action panel right there. I have my action, the CMYK to 300 dpi, and I have to find my source. So I'm gonna choose my folder. Right, it's gonna look for it. I think it's under demos in there. It's called, I have a lot of them. Paris Photo Tour. It's in my images. Sorry, and it's my final files. So right there. So these are my final images. So I select my folder right here. I go choose. And then destination, I can put in a different spot, save and close folder, etc. Or I can just, it'll just be in the same spot. So I think I can just go OK. And you let Photoshop do its thing. So it'll open the file. run the script or run the action, close it, open the next one, does it again, and you let the software do its thing. And it's so fast that sometimes you don't even have a chance to see that it's changing to CMYK, or you don't even have to time to see that it's changing to 300 dpi at the bottom either. So it's pretty quick. So at this point, I'm just waiting for the software to do its thing. Because the images are fairly big, it's going to take a minute or less. And I guess that was it. So these were the ones that took a little longer to process. Now I can go back into my final images right there. They're all the same, but now see that you can see that the architecture building Club France right there. This is the same image right there, and that was my RGB. This one is my CMYK, and it's 10 megabytes now. So all of those now are in CMYK. So if I open any one of them, just to make sure, it is in CMYK mode. It is at 300 dpi. Oh, not quite. It's 273. This is an odd one. So I can, always change that as well, manually as well. Go 300 dpi. Make sure I have my resampling, unchecked, and click OK, and I can save. But that's it. It did a bunch of images all at once for you right there. Again, this is at all. The PPI totally messed it up. Yeah, it just didn't work on this one, but it worked on the CMYK. You can see that in your image mode, it's in CMYK and not in RGB. So that's basically how you do it. You batch a bunch of images. You create your own action or script. No, it's not a script. It's an action right there.
And does that make all the photos in your document automatically switch then?
No, not the photos in my document. These are the photos that are in my folder. The best way to do it properly. Again, I have like 4 documents, right? So it's going to be a little tricky. But I would collect my images from one of the files. For example, this one. I would, just go do the regular package in InDesign. Go to the bottom of file. At the bottom, you go package, and you see the dialog window here in package says 17 links found, 12 using RGB color space. So this is the little, warning system in InDesign. So I could package that. So we're going to do it very quickly. Just got to save it. Sure, please. Not going to put it here. Paris photo tour, sure. Oh yes, for some reason it truncates my name, so I'm going to call it legal. But in this case, I want to make sure that I package all the images, all the fonts, and include the IDML and the PDF. But at this point, I don't really need the PDF, so I'm just going to uncheck that, and then I'm packaging this thing. So it just collects all my images in there. And I can close, actually, you know what? I'm going to close all those files. Sure, save. Did I modify everything? I must have. I was moving stuff around, haven't I? Sure, save. Okay, good. Now that I have my folder, that is the package file, I have my links in there, and I have all my images in there, right? So I have, so it's not just the RGB images, it's also the logos. So the problem is that. So the problem is you want to convert those images from CMYK, and that's not going to work because they're graphics, they're vector graphics files. So all those EPS files right there are not going to convert, right? So I can always pull them out temporarily out of that folder. And just do just those images in there quickly, and then do the same thing again. Go under File, go back into Photoshop, Automate, Batch, find the folder, and this time it's legal in there. There's my folder, there's my links, choose that, and then just go OK, and then run it. And sometimes they're so quick that they don't even show up on the screen, right? So especially the fairly low-res images, the very light images, they don't even show. So there, it batches them up again. And it's kind of messed up the image size, though. I'm not a big fan of that. I think it must have changed the. It might have changed the image size instead of just converting the resolution. It actually changed the whole image size for every single one of them. So there they are. Now they're CMYK. You can tell they're much larger files, right? 3.4, 28 megs, etc., etc. So there. So now that those are converted, I bring my logos back in there. And now I open my InDesign document that I packaged, because when you package an InDesign document, it relinks your links to this specific document right here. So I didn't change the name, I didn't change the extension, they're still JPEGs. So I go into my InDesign document, and now it's telling me, you know, hey, there's 13 modified links. So I go, yes, please update. And you can see, you can tell in the links panel right there, they're all highlighted, and then software does its thing.
Thank you. That's the part that I was missing.
And that's it. So that's a bit of a reverse engineering kind of thing to do it. I would probably try to, well, yeah, it's probably quicker, but I would probably try to do my conversion to CMYK as I design the stuff, kind of thing. At this stage, it's concept only. I would design this thing and I would show it to the client, and if the client agrees on the design, on the image, or if they want to change an image, you know, so at this point it's still a working file, so I keep the things in RGB until things get approved, and then go, yeah, you know what, that cover, yeah, we like it. The Moulin Rouge, maybe not, we want a different one. And so you place another image in there, and then again you work with what is either given or approved, so you don't have to do things twice. So that's the idea. So yeah, and then now it's all CMYK ready to go. And now, because it is ready to go, CMYK everything, I can open my right down there, the volume. It's a little far from the window, actually. There you go. I'm going to bring it up. I can open my Preflight panel. The Preflight panel, again, is in InDesign is come on, it's just why is it bouncing down? There you go. Stop moving. It's just like, you know, airplanes, right? The pilot just goes through a checklist, make sure that the plane is ready to fly, if they have enough alcohol in their bloodstream, so they can fly. But in this case, it's making sure that everything is CMYK, high res, etc. So I have already, again, I've done a preset in my pre-flight. In basic working right there, it's turned on and it shows me there's no problem. I get the green light. Woohoo, beautiful. But if I was using, for example, digital publishing, it's checking, no problem again. But if I have my CMYK, and again, it's a preset, it shows me right here that there's 31 errors, and I know what the errors are. Because I have in my CMYK preset, I have, I'm only allowing CMYK mode, and I'm using, of course, 2 Pantones right there. I'm using a blue and a red Pantone. So these are spot colors right there. I'm using also like the yellow there. I'm not sure where I'm using this one, but I'm definitely using those colors, the 3005 and 192, and the yellow. And those colors actually are from the Olympic rings. So I didn't look far from those colors. I grabbed it from that Paris 2024 logo that I downloaded. So I'm using Pantone, so of course it red flags that it's telling me I'm using Pantones, but it doesn't show me that there's only 2 errors. It shows me every error wherever it's used. So it shows me a line on page 1. On page 1, there's all those errors. On page 2, there's all those errors. And again, tour days, 10 charts, museum, shopping, all of those that actually is using the color right here, it's red flagging it. It's like using a Pantone, and I should not be doing that. Bad boy, don't do it. So what I can do, 2 things I can do. I can go under my swatches right here, my swatch panels right there, or under my not my Preflight. I'm going to go into my swatches right here, and I'm going to go into the bottom right here, go to the hamburger menu, and I'm going to Ink Manager right here. So I have, as you can see in my Ink Manager, I have my CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, and I have my 2 Pantones right there, the 3 Pantones, the 3005 192, 137. And I think this is a bit of a problem. So I can click right down there at the bottom. It says all spots to process. And now they're not spot colors. You can see the little icon changes, right? And I click OK. And now my Preflight is still showing me some stuff because it still doesn't understand that I'm converting everything to spot colors. So the quickest thing you can do, I'm not sure where I'm using that yellow, tell you the truth, and I'm not showing any yellow anywhere, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it as an example. The Pantone 137 right there, you can double click on your color, and it's still set up as a spot, although the ink manager switches them, but Preflight does not recognize that. So I click on my color mode. That's the Pantone solid coded right here. If I click on that and I switch over to CMYK right there, these are all the your color books, but usually as designers we use only Pantones. But I switch over to CMYK right here, and it's still a spot, right? It still has the icon of a spot, little dot in a dark square right there. So I switch over to process, and now it's just like the other colors above in my swatches right there. It's all aligned. And if I click on that, click OK, and I'm going to do that the same thing right there very quickly. CMYK process, and I'm able to do that because I'm not using any graphic that are using those colors in my file. If there was a color, for example, if the logo was using those colors and it was a placed graphic, I would have to go into the Illustrator file, change the color in Illustrator, replace it in there. And now that I've converted all my colors into CMYK, my Preflight shows me no errors right there. So this is the proper way to do it. I've done it the wrong kind of way. But in this case, again, to create your own Preflight, actually here, you have your Preflight panel right here, but in the same bottom margin down there, you also have defined profiles. And that's how you can create a new one right here. You can go plus or minus. Of course, you can delete them. I'm going to keep this one in there. But within this little window right there, you have all those lists of different things. And I go into, for example, my links in there. So any links missing or modified, it's going to red flag that. Inaccessible URL links, same thing. It's gonna reflect that in my Preflight panel. It's going to red flag that stuff. Colors, same thing. I go colors, spaces, and modes not allowed. So I'm not allowing RGB, no spot color, no lab or HSB. So it's basically grayscale, CMYK, that's it. And in the images and objects again, so I'm also red flagging image resolution. These are pretty standard stuff. Make sure that your images are high res, as well as non-proportional scaling of placed objects. So if I'm changing my image right there and I'm not scaling it properly, let's say 60% horizontally and 55% vertically, please don't do that. The software will you can actually have that in your settings, and your image will be red flagged again. Think of it as if you place a logo and then there's a beautiful circle in the logo, and then you stretch it, and then suddenly the logo is more like an oval. Or a car, for example, that has round wheels. Suddenly you stretch the image, and suddenly the wheels are not round anymore. Well, that stuff is visible. It looks very amateurish, and you can avoid all that stuff using your Preflight profiles. And again, go through the laundry list there. The text, any overset text. If I'm missing, if I have text that is overset, for example, if my text frame is a little too short and I have some type outside of, again, it will red flag it. Missing fonts as well, very important, right? If you're missing a font and it's the file is not going to print properly, right? So if you're missing data, that's pretty critical. The client will be pretty mad. And then unresolved caption variable. I have no idea what that is. It's turned on. Let's keep it on. And that's pretty much it, right? And again, there's a bunch of stuff. Page size and orientation, blank pages. Sure, you can turn that on as well. In this document, it's 2 pages. I don't really need to have it on. But you could call it, again, CMYK. You can call it CMYK whatever, +1, for example, if you want to keep it, keep a single Pantone, for example, etc., etc. So you can set all that stuff up according to your needs. So it gets a little technical, but these are production skills that you guys will need, absolutely need, for any kind of job in a print shop, in anywhere that you're required to get a file ready for print. If you're a production person or lower level designer in the company, very often you're being thrown a project that has been like conceptualized by the senior designers or the creative director, and it's slapped together, right? And then you have to make it happen, make it, you know, look good, make it consistent. Again, use your paragraph styles, your character styles, just to be able to manage that stuff, because sometimes this stuff is just slapped together, and if it goes to print, to press, when it's slapped together, the printer will send it back to you going, no, can't do it. You guys fix it. I can't work with it. So knowing your color modes, how to manage your colors within the document is quite important. Batching images, et cetera, working in CMYK is pretty much standard. And then that way you can actually have a better idea of what your image looks like. If you're using an RGB image and it's really bright and really vibrant and really cool, and then you print it and it's really, really dull, it's because the printer, even digital printers, will try to convert an RGB mode into a CMYK and will make a mess out of it. So make sure you do your color balance, your color coordination, and everything prior to send everything to print. You will give yourselves hugs after that. Just going your pat on the back or whatever you want to call it, going, yes, I did it right. That's it. That's it for today.